The regular meeting of the Mishawaka Common Council for Monday, February 21st, 2022 will please come to order. For those of you who are with us in person this evening, welcome. If you would, please take a moment to check your cell phones to make sure that you have silenced them or placed them on vibrate. For those of you who are participating remotely this evening, we welcome you as well. To that end, members of the public who are participating remotely are asked to place their microphone on mute during the meeting, with the exception of any public hearing. At the appropriate point in the public hearing, I will invite the public to unmute their microphone for purposes of submitting such comments as they may wish to make, one person at a time. All persons wishing to make public comments will be asked to first state their name and address for the record, and after completing their comments, members of the public are once again asked to place their microphone on mute, and we thank all of you, both those participating remotely and in person, for your cooperation. And with that, please join us in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. DeMate.
Here.
Mr. Hazen.
Here.
Mr. Mamalenti.
Here.
Mr. Benicki.
Here.
Mr. Emmons.
Here.
Mr. Belovich.
Here.
Mr. Compton.
Here.
Mrs. Volker.
Here.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh.
Here. Approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of February 7th, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections? Then hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as received from the clerk's office. Petitions, communications, remonstrance, and memorial.
Yes, Mr. President, we have a letter from the City Plan Commission regarding their recommendations from their February 8th, 2022 meeting. Honorable members, a regular meeting of the Mishawaka Plan Commission was held on the above referenced date, at which time the following proposed resolution and ordinances were considered. Resolution number 2022-01, a resolution amending the City Municipal Riverfront District. The Commission, with a vote of 7-0, recommended approval. Petition number 2022-01, a petition submitted by Rebecca Parker as trustee for Rose Glen and Mavis H. and Raymond Jeziorski and Matthew Bender, requesting to rezone 107 Wayne Street, 119 Wayne Street, and 123 Wayne Street from R1 Single Family Residential District to C4 Automobile Oriented Commercial District. The Commission, with a vote of 7-0, recommended approval. Petition number 2022-02, a petition submitted by DEV 4506 Lincoln Way East, LLC, Rebecca Parker as the trustee for Rose Glen, R. and Mavis H., Raymond Jeziorski, Matthew Bender, Tiffany Gilbert, and Receive Properties, LLC, seeking vacation of Wayne Street and unimproved Pennsylvania Avenue right-of-way for planned adjacent car wash development for Drive and Shine. The Commission, with a vote of 7-0, recommended approval. Pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-605, the Mishawaka Plan Commission hereby certifies to the Mishawaka Common Council the attached proposed resolution and ordinances regarding the above matters. This is signed by Carrie Myers, Administrative Planner.
Thank you. This evening, there is no report of any special committee of which I'm aware, so we'll move into ordinances on first reading.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-06, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, is from time to time amended, commonly known as the Zoning Ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone from R1 and C4 to C4 Auto-Oriented Commercial for proposed car wash, Drive and Shine, northwest corner of Lincoln Way and Bittersweet Road.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-06 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-07, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, is from time to time amended, commonly known as the Zoning Ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is right-of-way vacation for planned adjacent car wash development, Drive and Shine, Wayne and Pennsylvania Avenue.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-07 will also be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee. Resolutions.
Resolution R 2022-01, a resolution of the City of Mishawaka, Common Council approving the designation of certain areas as redevelopment project areas for the establishment as a municipal riverfront development project.
Thank you. We will now open the public hearing on proposed resolution 2022-01. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward. Good evening, Mr. Prince.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of council. Ken Prince, Director of the Planning and Community Development Department, here to present the resolution. As you saw in your packet, and I'll just summarize it here, in 2004 is when the city originally adopted a municipal riverfront district for the purposes of reduced liquor license as afforded by state law. In 2018, we amended that, and we amended it drastically. What we did at that point in time was we said we don't want to be the arbitrator of these special districts that are established by the state. We wanted to maximize the area involved for that you could obtain them. So basically, we took the floodplain that was identified on the FEMA flood maps for both the St. Joseph River and Judy Creek and extended it the maximum, I believe it was 1,500 feet, from both sides of the bank, and created that as the area of the district in the city. So literally, we made every property eligible for a Riverwalk license that would be zoned appropriately. What we found out was brought to us by Mr. Hazen's attention is that there's actually areas of the river that are outside of the FEMA identified floodplain. So essentially, there are areas of open water that aren't regulated as floodplain that are still part of that water body that would make other areas eligible for a Riverwalk license. These are all located on the east side of the Twin Branch Dam. We have now amended the district, and that's what the proposal is before you this evening, is to add those areas that have open water, which extend the Riverwalk district up along Lincoln Way. The other area that was included is the area of Bittersweet Cove that extends parallel to Bittersweet. They have a channel that's extended. That is also open water that it creates a larger area for Riverwalk license eligibility. That is the only purpose of the resolution before you this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Prince? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else physically present with us this evening who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution? If so, please come forward. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution? Is there anyone with us this evening who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed resolution? If so, please come forward. And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition? Thank you. Are there any council members who wish to speak? Thank you, Mr. Hazen, for your diligence in bringing this issue to light.
They did it.
And with that, if there are no other questions or comments from the council, then I will call for the question.
Question?
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mr. Emmons?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
The resolution passes 9-0. Resolution R 2022-02, a resolution opposing legislation regarding the business property tax of the City of Mishawaka, known as Replace Don't Erase Personal Property Tax.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing on proposed resolution 2022-02. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, if you would, please come forward.
Mr. President, council members, Dave Wood, Mayor, here to speak in favor of proposed resolution 2022-02. Typically, don't like resolutions like this, non-binding, but in this case, and only in the case where it is of immediate and of significant consequence to the city of Mishawaka, would I think of supporting something like this. And this one does. This is the General Assembly's somewhat annual attempt to recently to cut the business personal property tax. And Indiana is in a very favorable climate, tax climate, better than most, if not all states in many categories. And most of us don't mind being in that position because of the economic development activity that can happen, the impact on our businesses and such. So why would we be opposed to this? Well, number one, the state is looking to cut part of it, and it impacts local governments the most. So the proceeds from the business personal property tax don't go straight to the state. They are a property tax that come to local communities. And so, for example, we had Baker Tilly look at what impact this would have if it were cut fully, would be to the tune of about $3 million. And so, of course, again, the House bill that is being considered downstate does not attempt to cut the entire amount, but these tax dollars are important because they go straight to our general fund. That is the fund that supports police, the fund that supports fire, and almost all of our payroll in the city of Mishawaka. And so a cut of any kind to that without replacement, we're simply asking for some kind of replacement revenue, which the current bills do not have. But any kind of cut would put us in a more precarious spot as far as our budget. I will remind you that we are spending out of deficit this year because of the property tax caps that have been instituted and our preparation for them. So we are spending out a deficit. We are also have not seen the assessed evaluation of our property really kick in. We know that real estate's white hot. That doesn't impact us for some time to come, if it does impact us. So we just recently caught up to 2008 levels just a couple of years ago. So we're in a position where we are giving our employees more and more raises, and we think that it's justified. We all want to give our employees 5% raises because they deserve it. We are in a position where we still have to buy fire trucks. We're buying 2 this year. We have 30 police cars on order, about 18 on back order and 12 that we're just getting ready to order. We still have to equip our staff and provide training, and we have to make sure that they have adequate facilities. All of that we are focused on. And as we heard last week from the fire department, the departments need more people. And I think everybody agrees that we would like to have more people. Well, when you are faced with cuts and spending out a deficit such as this, that becomes much more difficult. So, do we have options? Well, not out of our general fund, which is what supports public safety to the tune of about half, close to half of our budget goes to public safety, and most of our budget goes to payroll. So what would our options be? Well, if the council wanted more police, more fire, there is an option. It's called the local option income tax for public safety. Right now, the county is at 1.75. The capacity is 2.5. If that tax, if the council decided to raise that tax, it would be about a $54 million take for the county, assuming South Bend or St. Joe County would go along with it. And that would be roughly $9 million to the city of Mishawaka for public safety. That is an option you have in front of you that you may choose to take at some point in time should you decide we need more police and more firefighters. But we're here to talk about business personal property tax. It is yet another attack into our local budget. And it is alive downstate and could pass in some form this year. So we want to send a good, strong message, as have other towns and cities across the state of Indiana, to say, look, this impacts us at the local level, And if you attempt to make any cut of business personal property tax, we want to see a direct replacement decided on as part of that effort. And so that's really the impetus of this resolution. Again, non-binding, but very important signal that we can send downstate to our legislators who often want to cut but don't really realize the impacts of those cuts on our local community. Secondly, does it impact us? It does, but who else does it impact? It impacts our residents, because for those homeowners not up to the property tax caps, it acts as a shift to homeowners. So homeowners' taxes will go up to the tax caps to compensate for the business personal property tax cuts that will impact businesses in a positive way. So it's both a shift and there is no replacement for it, and the impact is on the city of Mishawaka. So with that, I will encourage you to support this. It's a vote of conscience. That's all it is, and a vote that really is non-binding in any way other than we just want to send a message downstate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mayor Wood? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else physically present who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution?
Good evening. Brian Woodward, Fire Chief. Also would like to come here and speak in favor of the resolution 2022-02. Took me a minute. As you know, everyone in the room with the mayor's administration and yourselves have been great to us over my tenure as fire chief over the last 5 years. Couldn't be any more appreciative. And the chief here and myself felt that it was important to come and show our support back to the city. A tax cut like this will adversely affect the plans we've had trying to move forward. As we continue to work with the administration, as we talk about things like adding people, this is not only going to significantly impact us, but it's going to impact every employee here for the city. And we understand that. We understand that the amount of money we use out of the city budget, and we don't want it to be more of an impact on the other city employees as well. We try to be very cognizant when we do that stuff. So that's why we came tonight. We're just here as a show of support for the city. You guys have been very good to us, and we felt it was very important for us to be here to show our support back to you guys as well in favor of this.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Woodward? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else present with us this evening who wishes to speak in favor? If you would, please come forward to the podium. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution? If so, please unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record. Mr. Zappia.
Hi, Frank Zappia, President, Mishawaka Professional Firefighters, Local 360. Here to speak in favor. I'm actually down here in Indianapolis right now for a legislative conference for the state firefighters, and got to talk with some of our state leaders about this today. And they have worked directly with the Replace Stony Race. And anything that is going to hurt the financial impact of the city for public safety is something that we can't be for. Mayor Wood brought up the increasing the county's public safety LOIT tax. I know increasing taxes is not something that people want to hear about, but sometimes it's necessary. Just an option to look into. But I'm appreciative of the fact that the city is looking to, go against this that the state has proposed.
Thank you. Any questions for President Zappia? Thank you, sir. If you would, please mute your microphone once again. Is there anyone else participating remotely who wishes to speak? And I believe both literally and digitally, Officer Freeman has raised his hand, so you are up, sir.
Hello, this is Rich Freeman. I'm the president of the Mishawaka Police Fraternal Order for Police Lodge 91. I'm also in favor of the resolution opposing the legislation. And in attending some of these meetings and listening to the public, I would also second Chief Woodward and Mr. Zappia as far as manpower and increasing police on the streets. And in doing so, I would say that not only is this a financial burden within the city on the general fund, but in order to remain competitive in a field where we are finite with the interest in law enforcement in general, and an even smaller amount of people who are qualified, any kind of hindering to the fund would hinder this process altogether. So I am in favor of this resolution, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions for President Freeman? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution? Then is there anyone present with us in the chambers this evening who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed resolution? If so, please come forward. And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed resolution? Thank you. Are there any council members who wish to speak? Thank you to everyone who spoke this evening, and including his honor and for the work that went into drafting this resolution. As we've touched on any number of times here, I think we're all in favor of looking to fully fund our public safety agencies, including increasing manpower in both the police and the fire department as we're able to do so. So certainly anything that stands in the way of us doing the job to support public safety that we need to is something that I'm not in favor of. So I appreciate the work that went into this and the comments this evening. And with that, if there are no other questions or comments, then I will call for the question.
Question.
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mr. Emmons?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mrs. Volker?
Yes.
Mr. Hixenbaugh?
Yes.
Resolution passes 9-0, and I do need everyone to stay to sign.
Thank you. We'll now move into ordinances on second reading.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-05, an ordinance amending ordinance 5769, an agreement between the City of Mishawaka and the employees of the Mishawaka Utilities, represented by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 1392. This is amends their contract, and the contract goes from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024.
Thank you. May we have the committee report, please?
Yes, Mr. President, to the members of the Common Council of the City of Mishawaka, your Committee on Budget and Finance, to whom was referred the matter of proposed ordinance number 2022-05, report that they have examined said matter and that in their opinion it should be adopted. This is signed by the entire committee, and I move for its acceptance.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to receive the committee report. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. With that, we'll move into second reading and public hearing on proposed ordinance 2022-05. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward.
Mr. President, council members, Dave Wood, Mayor, here to respectfully request that you approve proposed ordinance number 2022-05. It has already been approved through the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Mishawaka, Mishawaka Utilities, and the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, local number 1392. Essentially, what this does is it strikes a sentence from one section and then recreates that sentence in another section that is more appropriate for that sentence to be. It refers to emergency call-out language, and it is simply what I would almost call a scrivener's error. So when we first realized that we needed to do this, again, it had already been approved through the collective bargaining agreement. We were advised that we could do it by memo, which we usually like to be transparent. We like to go through the council on these things. Then we were advised, as been tradition, and even since when I was on the city council, that we request first and second reading for these. We did that, part because it was a very minor thing. We would never attempt to request first and second reading if it were a fiscal matter or something of consequence to the city, unless it were an emergency. But we came in part to, not clog up your agenda too, just to get it over with, being that it was just a minor scrivener's error. But the rules have evidently changed, and so we recognize that, and we will not be bringing these to you unless we request first and second reading, unless it is an emergency. There was no attempt to not be transparent in this, nor were we trying to slide something through. We weren't trying to, be shifty in any way. It was just a simple scrivener's error. And so we know the lay of the land, so we will adhere to that. So you can count on that from my administration, but would request that you approve this ordinance here tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Mayor Wood? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed ordinance? If you would, please come forward. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed ordinance? Is there anyone with us this evening who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed ordinance? And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed ordinance? Are there any council members who wish to speak? Mr. Benicki.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank the mayor for bringing this to us. And the 18 years that I've been sitting up here, we've done a lot, first and second reading. And like he said, there's nothing that's been underhanded. If it's ever been questionable, they've always done the right thing and done first and second reading separately. So I appreciate the mayor's efforts, and by no means did I see that as being anything other than, just let's get her over with and move on. So I wanted to thank Mayor for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, then I will call for the question.
Question.
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mrs. DeMade,
Yes.
Mr. Hazen,
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti,
Yes.
Mr. Benicki,
Yes.
Mr. Emmons,
Yes.
Mr. Belovich,
Yes.
Mr. Compton,
Yes.
Mrs. Volker,
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh.
Yes.
Proposed ordinance passes 9-0.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move into privilege of the floor, and we will invite members of the public to the podium to speak with respect to non-agenda items only under privilege of the floor.
Mr. President, council members, Dave Mayor, you're probably pretty sick of me about now, but I did want to come up and address another issue that was brought up at the last council meeting, and that has to do with snow plowing. I will tell you that there is no one more proud of the efforts of the Mishawaka Street Department, Central Services Department, Sewer Department, and others in snow plowing than I am. I'm their biggest supporter, but I'm also their biggest, I expect more out of them than anyone else. And that's only because I know that they are up to any challenge, any goal that we throw out there. Our challenges are bigger as a result of what's going on, obviously around the country with the times. Salt. We have salt that we have ordered by contract. It's supposed to be here. Well, salt, we get regular shipments of it, and there is a supply that is at our, we have product at our supplier. Well, there are no trucks to get it here. It's starting to show up slowly. We actually had to pay trucks to go pick up that product, and we had to pay for that, even though it was a part of a contract to be delivered to us. We're doing that to make sure that we do not run out of salt, and we will not run out of salt. So, and we will seek restitution as we can. We have a significant fleet of trucks, all of which do not like snow and especially don't like the cold and snow mix. And so when a truck breaks down, we've got a pretty good fleet, but they still break down. When they do, we can't get parts like we used to. They'll sit in a shop for a significant period of time. So it's, the goals are still the same, and they will not change. The public should not expect less of us, and we will not deliver less. You will see now, as a result of some of the issues we're having, pickup trucks plowing 9, 10 formations on our 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lane roads. You would have never seen that in the past. But that's because the goal has not changed. We will put everything in our power out with a blade on it and run round the clock with it. And we've had first significant snow. Those are always a tester for us. We hadn't had a big one yet this year. That one came. There was rain right before the snow, so we couldn't pre-treat. Pre-treatment works great for us because it prevents snow from packing. Well, in this case, we could not pre-treat, so the snow packed. And so when it packs, it's almost like we have to continuously plow it because as it loosens and melts up, it's there still on the street. We appreciate the patience of our citizens, but oftentimes we plow snow into driveways, and it's frustrating. I have a driveway, and I gotta clear it out multiple times after the plow truck comes through. But I don't shovel it back into the street because I know it's gonna come back into my driveway. So we dance that dance with our public all the time. And we also, we try to plow our streets multiple occasions. Why do we plow our streets? It's nice to have the convenience that you can get out and go to things like doctor's appointments, but why we plow our streets is so that these guys can get to you. It is so that every homeowner, if there is an emergency, that public safety personnel and equipment can get to that doorstep no matter what. That's our goal. That's why we plow a lot. And so the complaints ranged last week from we didn't come through to we came through too much. And so the beauty of our equipment is that it has GPS. So I can tell you the time and the date and how fast a truck came through your neighborhoods. And I can tell you that they come through your neighborhoods, and we can pull the data. And so we know that there's frustration that comes with snow plowing on all of our citizens. And by the way, I got a lot of compliments about our first effort of the year, and then again this last week from the public. But I would invite you that if you have frustrations, that they don't sit here pent up until the next council meeting, give us a call. We're here to work with you. All of our department managers are available to you, not just during the day, but 24/7, because they're that dedicated to their job. So if you have an issue, please feel free to give them a call. And if you don't get anywhere with them, you call me, and we'll make sure that you get the response that our citizens deserve and expect. And that holds true for other things as well. So no matter what the issue. We also heard about some complaints about sidewalks. Well, we live in a city where we have no school busing. So kids often walk to school. So that means we've got to probably do a little bit better job than most communities to make sure that at least there's one shovel swiped through neighborhoods, especially closer to schools, so that kids can walk on the sidewalks without having to walk on the streets. And so our code enforcement department really made a big effort of clearing at least one path, and we will work with citizens no matter what the issue is. And if there is no way for citizens to get their shovel or walk shoveled, we'll work to try to find somebody to do the shoveling. But at the end of the day, we have to put out those expectations because people have, have a reasonable expectation to have their kids walk to school safely. And so we want to assist with that to the extent that we can. So, again, it's one of those things that when we do that, a lot of people complain, but it's our job to make sure that they're as open as they possibly can be. And that starts with us, and we try to put a good example out there. So with that, I'll take any questions on the snow removal effort.
Thank you. Any questions for Mayor Wood? Mrs. Volker?
Thank you. I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment. I live on Lincoln Way, and kids walk to school on Lincoln Way every day. And it's very, very important that Lincoln Way, that those sidewalks are clear, because you can't have kids walking down Lincoln Way in the snow. So I really appreciate the efforts. I also, as everybody knows, walk a ton and personally appreciate it, but I really appreciate it for the kids that are walking to school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Mayor Wood or comments? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak under privilege of the floor? If so, please come forward to the podium. And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak under privilege of the floor? Thank you. We will move into unfinished business, of which there is none, so new business. Per the discussion that we had with the upcoming, it seems like it's a little premature to talk about spring break, but I suppose hope springs eternal, and we're going to be in spring break before you know it. There was a discussion of changing the council meetings in April, from April 4th to April 11th, and April 18th to April 19th. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to change our two meetings in April. The first meeting in April would now take place on Monday, April 11th, and the second meeting in April would now take place on Tuesday, April 19th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to change the meeting dates for the council in the month of April. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we will notify all interested parties of those date changes. Is there any other new business to come before the council? Mr. Emmons?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a reminder that the neighborhood meeting in the first district, there will be none in March. We'll start again in April, on the third Thursday in April. So again, there'll be no meeting in March. It'll be in April, the third Thursday of the month. And I thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business to come before the council? Just a reminder that we all do need to sign the one resolution before we leave this evening. And if there is no other new business to come before the council, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Move.
We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.